to That's My Opinion Pod. I'm your host, Beto Iglesias, ready to break down everything that aired, although I don't know how much I truly have to discuss about the episode. But regardless, I have Rachel from Deep Thoughts by Bravo with me today. She's going to be giving me her opinions. We're going to be discussing what we're thinking about the season in general. And yeah, I think we're going to start with OC. Pretty solid episode this week. It seems like the dynamics are really interesting. I'm liking the switch up that's happening. Definitely have some thoughts there. Then we shall discuss Dubai, which I'm excited to see how this Bali trip goes. The episode ended with a fun drama bomb, which is, I think, going to make the season so much more fun to discuss. And then lastly, we'll end with Jersey, which honestly, I didn't even take a single note on anything that happened this week's episode because it was so fucking boring. But anyways, without further ado, let's get into it. So Rachel, before we get into discussing all those episodes and the seasons in general, I want to know the usual questions I ask every guest. What is your favorite Housewives franchise of all time?
So I really do think it changes every year. If you were to ask me like 5 years ago, I would have probably said OC. But now I really think it's Atlanta. I love Atlanta.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, I think that the reason I love it, it's different than other Housewives franchises in the fact that all those women work and I work very hard. All those women work, all those women bring in their money. All of those women were and are successful outside of the Housewives shows. So they bring a different dynamic when they come in. They don't have that neediness, that desperateness that a lot of new housewives often bring. And Candy Burris, I think, made that show.
Wow, love that. So then next question is, who are your top 5 favorite housewives of all time?
So Candy Burris is definitely, it was hard for me when you sent me those questions. I thought about it and I don't think I can say there's a number one for sure because it used to be LVP, but it's no longer. So disappointed how she's treated the women this season on Vanderpump Rules. It's been really bad. And, being and excusing Tom's behavior and all the things that she has done really took where I really thought how awesome she was and really made it less for me. And I know that I read somebody, and I can't remember who said this, we should normalize liking LVP on Beverly Hills and, saying we don't like her on Pump Rules. And I don't think that's fair. Like, you have to be consistent all the way through. So, she's fallen from grace, but Candy Burris, I love Sutton. I don't know why. I love Sutton. I'm a huge Shannon Bedore fan. I just think she's nuts and in all the best ways possible. Like, I love a costume. She's great. And then from there, there's kind of a little bit of a steep cliff, but I love Kenya. I know she's not done great lately, but I do love myself some Kenya. And I think finally LVP would still be in the top 5, but just not that exalted like number one spot that she held for a long time.
Yeah, that's super fair. Question with Sutton. Have you always liked Sutton or have you grown to love Sutton?
I have grown to love Sutton. I've grown to love her. When the first season, I was like, I don't think I'm going to be able to watch this woman. And now I just adore her. I adore watching her and Garcelle. I think a dating show with her and Garcelle where they go out and date like separately would be just a great Bravo 30-minute in between season thing. And we can watch them like, now they should have Patty back on, but like some kind of matchmaker. And that would just be the most fun thing ever. Even with Erica Jane, Erica on there too, like the three of them on a dating show would be fantastic.
I love the drink scene that they did last season. I was like, these three talking about being single at their age and having fun. And they all have such different perspectives on dating and have had such different marriages and such different divorces that it's really fun to watch their dynamic.
Yep. I thought that was great. And I think Sutton and Erica, if they could like get past the stupidity, because I don't know any other words for like what they have, like the little issues, if they can like move past that, I think they would be amazing like friends to watch.
Well, we'll see what happens this season on Beverly Hills because it looks like now we have Dorit and Kyle joining the divorce squad.
I'm not very interested in watching Dorit date.
You know what? I don't think so either, but maybe it will be.
I don't like Dory. I think she's mean.
I don't mind Jury, but like if she left the season, I don't know if I'd be that upset. I obviously want to see the drama with BK, but she's not someone I'll die on a hill for either way. Like I
Yeah.
don't like her or I like her. It's just she's one of those. But I will be interested to see her getting divorced. That's I'm interested in.
Well, what's interesting to me is I'm a huge Jeff Lewis fan. He's like my spirit animal, if I could pick one.
Okay.
And he was in his one of his, I don't know if what you call it. He does a podcast really, but in his discussion that he has, he said that he's known for years they've been separated, and that he's been living at the Beverly Hills Hotel for like a month or a year. And I was fascinated by that because he would know they have like the same group of friends, and he wasn't surprised at all. And nobody's really like pinged on that or picked up on that. I found that really interesting.
Very interesting. Well, let's see. I'm sure the Beverly Hills women, if we know them, we know that they're not going to let anyone off easy and they will bring up every rumor. So we'll see if that gets discussed.
So,
Okay, next question is what is your favorite non-Housewives Bravo franchise?
so probably out of left field, Top Chef. Top Chef is actually my favorite Bravo show, period. I watch it. I watch it over and over again. I watch like old seasons. That is without a doubt my favorite one. But if you want to go with like the drama one, it's going to be Vanderpump Rules.
Okay, fun. Very fun. That's really, I like that. No one said Top Chef yet.
Oh, I love Top Chef. So it's fun to watch people do what they're good at. Like with Project Runway was still on there. I might even say Project Runway because it's fun to watch people be excellent at what they do.
That's really fun.
Yeah.
Okay, next question. Who are your top 5 Bravo celebrities, not including Housewives?
Not including Housewives. So I love Craig Conover. I love Craig. He is what I love about that man is he's listened and changed and like grown up, for lack of a better way to put it, across, our TVs. And I just think that's amazing. I love Lindsay. I love Lindsay Hubbard. I know that's a controversial one, but I do love Lindsay. It's super controversial. Until this last season, I would have said Carl too, but not after this season. I did not enjoy him this last season at all. So yeah, Lindsay. And
What you like about Lindsay?
I think that she's unpredictable. And I think that there's a certain amount of fun watching somebody who's that unpredictable. I also think whether you like it or not, or whether it's well packaged or not, she is always herself all the time. So whether it's a good, bad, or ugly, she's not trying to hide anything also from the camera. I know that there was that big thing that Danielle said that she was not, the word I want to use, kind of delusional, I guess, when it came to her relationship with Carl, which ultimately did wind up to be true. But I don't think Lindsay actually knew that.
Yeah,
I don't think she understood what she was doing. So I think that that's a huge, huge part of it for me, just, very authentically themselves. If you want to go Bravo celebrity, I'm going to go Tom Colicchio again, because I'm a Top Chef fan. Like I love him. I love him to death. I think, again, someone who's very authentically themselves all the time. And doesn't always say the popular thing, which I find to be very interesting. And then if I were to break it down some more, Katie Maloney. I love Katie. I love Katie. And here's the thing, I've always loved Katie. I've always thought she was awesome. And I know she gets a lot of hate. And I don't know why, because she was married to a person who didn't have a backbone and who really didn't support her. And so, yeah, I'm sure she did come off sounding harsh, but ultimately she found her ability to stand up for herself. And again, just like Craig, kind of grew up and grew into who they are. And just, I think that's an amazing thing. And then if I had my last one, and only because of this last season, would be Ariana.
Love. Yeah, she's great. A lot of people say Katie and Craig. A lot of people.
They're very compelling to watch. Even if you hate them, they're compelling to watch. I remember when he was with Naomi, and I didn't like Naomi with him. I didn't really care for Naomi. I didn't care for them as a couple. But he seemed to get the best out of them. He seemed to be able to change from that. And that's just a really cool thing. I wish that Steph would take maybe a note on that.
Don't think that's happening anytime soon
Either, but
one can hope, one can dream. Okay. Tell me about Deep Thoughts by Bravo.
Oh my, so it is until today when you have me on camera, it's kind of like a secret account. So I work in tech and didn't really want all my Bravo stuff on my personal Instagram because my kids are also on my Instagram. I was like, oh, I don't want to mix them. So I started this account a couple years ago. It was just like some fun little thing. And I more followed people and like commented on stuff. And then I started to get followers and then I started to start creating some content. And now, I probably post on there multiple times a day, which I probably shouldn't be doing, but it's fun. And I liked what I like about my account is I try to get other people's thoughts a lot. Like it's
Yeah.
not, I do a lot of polls. I ask people a lot of questions to try. And I always, whether I agree or not, if I ask the question, you fill it out, I will publish what you said. I won't accredit you unless you ask me to, but I will say for example, I can't stand Tamara. If you love Tamara though, and I put a question up there and you're going to tell me that she's the most wonderful person in the world, I'm going to put that out there.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Fair. Okay, let's get into OC. Speaking of Tamra, one of my first notes from the episode is Tamra is so fucking mean. She
Exactly.
cannot help herself. And I I can't tell whether I want Tamra on or off. I think it's too early in the season for me to decide that. But there's a moment in the beginning of the episode where they're getting ready for the flag football thing. And Tamara, is getting glammed up and it's like, oh, do you think Shannon's going to be in a costume? Probably, and making fun of the way Shannon speaks and stuff. And I think there's a very fine line between mimicking someone and making fun of someone.
So they're not friends right now and they're not talking right now. So that wasn't fun. That wasn't funny. It wasn't anything. And I actually thought it was shady of the producers to keep it in. But I'm not sure who are they shading. Were they shading Tamara or are they shading Shannon? Because people already are reacting poorly to Tamara. So leaving that in makes this conversation happen,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I also think it is interesting because I think Tamara thought going into the season that the fans were going to be against Shannon because of the DUI, because everyone was really upset about it. Everyone was upset about how she had talked to Gina. Now she's in the same situation. So I thought Tamara was doing this and would be like, oh, the fans are going to love this. And it's like, no, we don't like you being fucking mean. It's not nice.
No, she read the Bravo verse wrong. I think I even typed that somewhere. She read it completely wrong ahead of time. I think she dumped Shannon as a friend on purpose, calculating what Bravo universe was going to say. And it's not turning out the way she thought it would. And now she's trying to backpedal and she's saying all of these things about Shannon still drinking, Shannon this, Shannon that. How would she know? She and Shannon are not friends. They're not hanging out. And they haven't hung out since the DUI. So for her to say that she was still drinking months and months later to excess, she wouldn't know.
Yeah, agreed.
So going out and giving all these interviews too, I'm getting tired of that. I'm tired of that. Like, stop bashing your castmates.
Castmates, yeah, it's not cool. Honestly, I am also surprised by how much people are loving Shannon this season, including myself. I thought I was going to be really hard on her, and I'm like, I'm loving her energy.
And that was the other thing, like Tamara saying, oh, she's not taking accountability. The first thing Shannon said was, I was wrong. I made a mistake. She said it to her daughters, which couldn't have been easy. I couldn't imagine having to tell my kids something like that, even adult or not. And then she apologized to Gina. Gina on Watch What Happened Live last night said that it meant so much more to her that at that event where Alexis is being thrown at Shannon, that Shannon took carved time out of her mental space, which probably wasn't great, to apologize then and there to Gina, because it meant more to Gina that way, because it was truthful and it was what needed to be said.
I love Gina and Shannon's relationship. I don't know why I'm obsessed with it.
I would like it to be better. I've never been a big fan of Gina. So I like Robin Dixon because she's a very relatable housewife. I've always liked. I think Gina's too relatable. Like it's too like, I'm like, oh, I had to live in a small apartment too when I broke up with somebody. Yeah, I went through that. So I feel like I kind of watched Housewives for that escapism, and I don't necessarily think she gives that.
Yeah.
On the other hand, it is fun watching her. I love Emily. Like Emily is amazing. And so I would love the three of them really to have like a really great season together.
Yeah, I think we're gonna get that. I think I love Gina and Shannon. I like it when they bicker, but you can tell they're both accepting each other in that
Mhm.
moment. Like, I don't like it when it's like, I don't know if I like you. I don't know if I trust you. I like it when they're like having a difference of opinion, but I also love it when they're getting along. Like, I think their dynamic really, really, really fun. And I'm also loving Emily. I think Emily's great. Emily, see, that's where Tamara doesn't realize. Tamara thinks she's Emily in the way that Emily like mocks people or like does shade at someone. You can tell it's lighthearted. You can tell it's funny. You can tell she's like doesn't want to hurt someone's feelings for the most part. Tamara doesn't know how to do that.
Right. And because Emily, I think, truly likes those people. And
Yeah,
I don't think Tamara truly likes those people. So that's why it seems mean. And because it doesn't come from a place of friendship.
agreed. I also love Emily's transparency and vulnerability about her journey with her body and, going to the gym and now being like, now it's a little too excessive. And I think a lot of people don't have that conversation of what it's like once you kind of hit a goal and then you're so scared of backtracking. I really appreciated that so much from her.
I did too. And I love her relationship with Shane. I remember I hated Shane when he first came on. I was like, God, he's such a dick. And then such a dick, so bad to her, so bad to other women. And just like Craig from we talked about earlier, right? He watched himself and went, "Oh, I'm a dick," and was like, "Oh, I can't do that." And I don't think he changed for the camera. I think he changed,
Okay.
and I think that's a really neat thing from last season. That dinner scene where she was saying something that was really bothering her, and he started to make fun of it, which he would have done always in the past. And he had stopped himself and said, "Okay, no, I'm going to listen to you." And said, I just thought that was a great moment of growth, and I think that they are the best couple on Bravo right now.
Really?
Mhm.
Wow. That's really interesting. I haven't thought enough about what other couples I like. So I don't know who else I could bring forward to that, but like you might not be wrong there.
I just think again, they're like I really like the realism of relationships. It's a real relationship. It's not.
Well, speaking of relationships, what are you thinking about Gina and Travis?
I don't understand what's happening.
Me,
I don't get it. I think there's some. They obviously have an issue. I'm not sure how separating their households fixes that issue. But I just also saw them on a cover of a magazine as a whole family. So are they living together again now? Like I'm so confused.
I don't know what's happening now. But for me, what confuses me is because on the one hand, she tells the women, financially, we can't afford a house. It makes more sense. I don't want to be taking away from my kid to be giving to like all six. It feels wrong. I get that. I'm very much like you, your head, not your heart sometimes.
Mhm.
And if financially you feel like you're outgrowing a space and your kids are losing out on something and whatever it may be, that's super fair. I would totally agree with that. And I was following her. But then in her confessionals and in other moments this season, she talks about the baggage Travis has and
Right.
talks about how it's impacting her. And if they don't move out, they're going to end up breaking up because she can't handle it. And I'm like, which one is it? Is it finances or is it emotional?
Well, and that's the weird thing is that what is this emotional baggage? Because he put up with a lot.
Yeah.
He put a lot. Not that he should equate, I did this, therefore you should do that. Relationships don't work like that. But what is going on that's so bad that he can't see beyond it given where they've come from?
We obviously know no details about the situation. We know nothing about his ex-wife, nor should we. It's not our right to know.
Right.
But I just feel like maybe, and this is speaking from experience that I've had working in family, sometimes women react to their man having problems with the ex-wife a lot worse and a lot more personally than men react if their wife, their girlfriend, whatever, is having issues with their ex-husband. I think it impacts them differently. Obviously, that is a super intense generalization, but I do think that women get more frustrated by ex-girlfriends than guys do of ex-boyfriends.
That's fair.
Husbands. So
That's
it could
fair.
be that. Also, the fact that it seems that he's still dealing with some type of court case of sorts, and that's probably draining him financially, and he's probably dealing with that a lot.
What does he do for a living?
I think he's in real estate too.
Well, I thought they were both going into that together. So what did he do before that though? Like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
But I mean, not enough to like them to afford a house together. So
But I don't understand how it's cheaper. And this is the other thing. I'm from California, and I don't understand how it's cheaper to get 2 3-bedroom home than 1 5-bedroom home.
interesting.
I don't know how that equates to cheaper for both of them, because yes, there is quite a jump of a price from 3 to 5, but you're not going to tell me that 2 3s doesn't equal a 5. Like, it doesn't. That math is not a thing.
Interesting. Well, in the house that they're in now, I don't know if she's moving out of it or if she can afford it on her own. But regardless, it's an interesting situation. We obviously don't have all the information, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, there's a missing piece that for whatever reason they're not talking about it.
Yeah, agreed. Okay, and then, I mean, then we have the Gina and Jen situation. Whose side are you on there?
So I don't think that there really can be a Jen side on this. Jen did not pay her bills like she was supposed to. Jen did not make, uh, the obligations of her contract or the obligations of her friendship with Gina. So, I don't really think you can have a Jen side. On the other hand, Gina has way overstepped. She should not be sharing clients' information. She should never have okayed someone she knew for less than a year and said, "Oh no, they can do the $22,000 a month rent." How would you know that? How would you know? So I think that, Gina made mistakes here, but, ultimately Jen did the worst of the two.
Agreed. I also think it's sad to watch Jen, and I'm glad that the women are kind of calling her out in a very protective way, because I think Jen is truly a cautionary tale and a poster for how women need to be careful when they become in very dependent relationships. And you can tell she's repeating the cycle, and the women are saying, "Hey, be careful."
I don't understand how she can even do that though with her children. Putting them in that situation with Ryan just seems, I don't want to ever criticize another mom. It doesn't seem the smartest move though, especially when you think about what's going on with him right now. He's under investigation, right? What are your children living through in that household right now while, your fiance is under investigation?
Also, what are you doing to try to get yourself in an independent place? And I'm not saying I disagree with her living with Ryan in general, like as a concept.
Right.
Don't like Ryan. I don't think that was a good idea. But I don't disagree with being like, let me move in with this guy that I've been with for a while. They've been in my children's life for a couple of years. Whatever, sure. In concept sounds fine. But what are you doing to make sure you won't have to depend on this man? That's what concerns me.
And the yoga studio. Like, why is that something that's not making money? We don't pay ourselves. She's said that now multiple times. Like, as a woman who I support my family, like as a woman who does that, like, it's hard to watch. And it's hard to watch, when they asked her this last episode, the producer said, "When did you have a credit card in your name for the first time?" "I don't have one." What? That's not healthy. And that means she still doesn't have one, which means if she has one, she's using Ryan's. That's not a great plan. Ryan took the debt from her car. Ryan's paying her rent. Ryan is paying her car payment. Well, was Ryan feeding her kids too? Like, that's not okay. Like, it's not okay for her. It's not.
Really sad. And I hope maybe audience and viewers are kind of bringing her attention to it. But it seems like it's so deeply ingrained in her that you really just need a man. Like, just find a man and you'll see it. And you saw it with her mom, that her mom, when they like went, the parents, and were talking to her about getting her out of the situation. And the mom was like, "You're good though, you found Ryan." And she's like, "It's more than just finding Ryan." But you can see like that is the perspective of, you have a man, you're good. Like, someone's going to take care of you. And it's so sad to me. And I'm glad she's at least making money through the show.
Well, yeah, it was interesting. I don't know how much that is. And I'm not going to, yeah, we don't know. But I would also say that it's interesting that everyone's hyping up her 6-figure settlement. That's not a lot in LA.
No, it was horrible.
No, it's a horrible settlement. That's all. And people are like, "Oh, massive 6-figure settlement." No, that's not good. That's not good.
Horrible.
That's
Her
not
kids
good.
are only getting $4,000 a month, and just 4 of them.
Yes. That's $1,000 a kid. That's not great. That's what my mom got when my parents divorced when I was in high school, and I'm 50 years old. So, like, think about that.
bad.
That's
It
so
was
bad.
I saw that settlement and my jaw hit the floor because the media was trying to spin it of like she got a settlement and I was like, it's horrible.
Horrible settlement.
Horrible.
Horrible settlement. So horrible. But it also maybe sheds light on the fact that he did not have this kind of job she was typing up. He also worked for her family at that time. So, is her family business, well, I don't even know what it is. So, what does that translate to what he's doing now? And where is he living now? Is he also living in LA? Is he living in California? That's a very expensive lifestyle.
I think he's living back home where they're from.
So then
Ohio?
Ohio, I was going to think Oklahoma. I don't know. Maybe.
I know there's so many factors that I'm like, there's something we don't know in terms of either his or her finances or her life before or something that it's just not adding up.
It doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't make sense. And they've been what? So they were together for a while and divorcing for 3 years. So it got bad.
And why did it take? Yeah. I think they were trying to keep it together for their kids when it came to the fact that he came and stayed at the house. So, and also, if they moved to LA, why didn't they buy a home there? Why were they renting the whole time? Like, it just seems, and then why were they in LA if he was still working, back home and flying back and forth? All of it seemed really odd.
It does.
I did think it was funny when they went to the cafe and Gina was ripping in on her for having hair and makeup done. I thought that was hysterical because I actually thought the same thing when she walked in. It was like, damn, she looks good for somebody who can't pay her bills.
I know. It's so true. It's so true. She did say on Watch What Happens Live, thing like glam can be a trade-off where it's like, I'll wear your glam and I'll post and I'll tag you and that I don't have to pay for it. But it's still like, what are you prioritizing right now?
Yeah.
It's the question. Okay, and then, talking about looks in general, we have the whole gym debacle. Gymgate. Ridiculous, but fun. And I love how Emily was like, this is so white women coded.
That was so true. I will say, I at this point think John Jensen is obsessed with Shannon. Like, and I don't know why, and I want to know why. Like, he is not. I feel like he knew what he was doing when he got started with Alexis. He bought then Alexis a ring from Shannon's favorite store that if it wasn't for Shannon, he wouldn't know it existed, right? He then takes, Alexis to Shannon's trainer, and for Alexis to go, oh, it's Johnny's gym too. And it wasn't. It was hers, and she took him there. So it's not his gym. It wasn't. If it was the other way around, Shannon would have stopped going to that gym. So I feel like he is an odd one.
Super odd. I wonder if he's going to film with Alexis.
I thought that they already said he had in something. So I think that they actually might all be together at some point, which is got to be rough on Shannon. I mean,
it's so fucked up.
It is. I actually blame Bravo more than anything else with that. Because why would you bring her? Why would you obviously Shannon's already having a rough time, right? You signed Alexis after the DUI. You signed Alexis after she started dating John and after she's so public about everything. So you intentionally were coming after Shannon. It's kind of like, think about it this way, kind of like with Vanderpump Rules, how they were like going to give Tom that redemption arc. And that did not work out because the fans didn't want it, right? And I feel like with the Alexis, they were like, oh, we're going to vilify Shannon. And I think Tamara had that feeling too. And the fans are like, no, we're not going to have it. So it's just interesting.
Well, I slightly disagree in terms of Bravo bringing on Alexis. I think when the Bravo universe, or some pages at least, when they saw Alexis and John Jansen were dating again, people were like, bring Alexis back, bring Alexis back, bring Alexis back. And I think Bravo said, okay, the audience might be interested in seeing them on screen and seeing their relationship and seeing this play out. Let's give that to them. That's my take on it.
Fair.
I guess we'll never know, really, will we? But yeah, any other thoughts on OC before we move on?
Just that it's too much Alexis. They really need to re-edit that and pull some of it out. It is too much. She's not going over well with her practice lines. There's the door, Shannon Bedore, find another tornado. I'm like, look, how long did you practice those lines in the mirror for? Because they're not landing.
It's tough to watch.
It is.
It's very tough to watch. Okay, well, moving on to Dubai. there really was like really the only thing we should be talking about this episode is the voice note and Brooke showing up whenever the fuck she showed up to Bali. So Brooks fucking is just such a fascinating, entertainingly frustrating housewife. And she claimed she flew private.
Yeah.
And I don't know what to believe. I don't know what to think. I mean, as Stanbury said, that costs like $500,000, if not more, to do that. So it's like, who's paying for it? Who's doing this? It's very confusing. And I just don't like her attitude. I don't like that she didn't apologize when she got there, because a lot of the women explained to her that they were very worried about her and they were very concerned about her. And she seemed to really just be like, whatever. And it's like, girl, like, just be fucking for real for a second and look at your friends and be like, I'm so sorry for worrying you. That was not my intention. But instead, you can tell she just wants the heat off her and she's liking the attention.
But doesn't she always just like the attention? I think that she says and does a lot of things simply to get attention. Negative, positive, it doesn't matter. By saying I flew private, nobody's going to believe that. And so she's not going to have to prove it, or she's going to have to like back out of it. It's just a really weird thing to do.
So awkward.
It's awkward. And shouldn't you apologize to your friends when you screw up?
Yeah, you should. You should. Fucking should. You really
You
fucking should. What are you thinking about her and the Talene situation?
I really like Talene. I don't know why. Do you like her too?
I love
Yeah.
her.
I think she's amazing. And I think that Brooks might be a little bit out of her depth a bit, you know. I think that Stansbury, kills her every time. And I think that thinking that she was bringing Talene in was going to be this like huge, like I have a soul sister, somebody to back me up. And it's just not going to work out for her because Talene's going to I think she's going to be a great housewife. So like, I just think that she's going to, claim that spot that Brooks wanted.
Interesting. Very, very interesting. And then the other point in the episode, because besides that, it was all very fun. And I like these type of episodes, even though they don't give a lot to really discuss and break down. I like that you're seeing the women have a good time. You're seeing the women have fun. You're seeing them travel. You're seeing their lifestyles. You're seeing their dynamics when things aren't heated and intense. I really do appreciate it. But of course, the episode ends as it does with the voice note. And the voice note is Sarah saying, I don't like Brooke. Now, I'm so excited to see the discussion at dinner next week when they talk about what Sarah meant. Because when Stanbury brings up the voice note in a very iconic way, getting heat off herself and said, we're actually not going to keep talking about me and my issues. We're going to talk about you now. Brings the voice note. And Sarah acted like that was something she would never say. Like she acted like, what are you talking about? And so I'm very, very intrigued to see how it works out.
Well, it's always whenever you have a receipt, right? And you need to make sure that you never, ever, we're going to talk about New Jersey in a minute, but, Jackie wrote down in a text, you're such a slob, right? It's the same thing. And when Dolores was like, yeah, I guess Margaret's just smarter than you if you never wrote it down. Yeah. It's the same thing. You cannot give people the ability to come back at you because loyalty shift every single season. And, Sarah to say, oh, I didn't do that, knowing damn well she did, is going to be awful for her.
But I think her and Caroline Brooks are fine right now. So I'm excited to see the way this voice note is going to impact the dynamic. Is going to be really interesting to see how the women talk about it, how they come back from it, and what it truly causes. Because you would think it's going to cause an issue between Brooke and Sarah.
I don't think we're.
No, it won't. It's going to cause an issue between Chanel Ayan and Lisa Milan. That's going to be the only issue. And for Caroline Stanbury for bringing it up.
I think Stansbury is going to take the most of the heat actually for bringing it up. I think that she's the one who's actually, and I think that's sad and kind of funny, but I think that she is the one that's going to be like ostracized, not the right word, but pointed out and being like, this is not appropriate for you to do that. This was told to you in confidence, so on and so forth.
Well, I don't think Chanel Ayan is going to get mad at Stanbury for bringing it up because Chanel, when she played it at the lunch, said, We'll talk about it. We'll bring it up eventually. We'll bring it up later. But I do think Lisa Milan is still going to get pissed at Stanbury.
Oh, yeah.
And we know they're going to have issues for the rest of the season. My question to you is, I mean, Caroline Stanbury has proved herself to be a legend on Bravo. What's your take on her this season?
So I loved her in Ladies of London. I've loved her for the first season. She's actually the only reason why I watched the first season of Dubai. But I will say that I'm struggling with her this season because every single scene is with Sergio. His attachment to her is, I don't want to say creepy, but it is not normal. It is not right. And she deserves to have scenes on her own, deserves to be able to develop these friendships on her own. I predict, and whether I'm right or not, we'll see. I predict he just shows up in Bali.
Got it. Hope not.
I don't think he can be away from her. It is a weird. So I have 2 boys, and I think that his attachment to her reminds me of my boys' attachment to me when they were toddlers. They were very. It's so bad. Not right. It's not right. And he's not like that with his own mother.
That's the weird part.
Yeah. But he is like that to his wife. I mean, even have you seen the reels they've been doing lately? So they've been doing these they're weird. They're just like them walking in a room, in matching outfits or driving with their dog with the heart hands. And just like, do you have content that doesn't revolve around your husband?
Weird. Oh my God, I'm looking at it now.
It's just odd.
And he's so obsessed with the camera and with Instagram and the whole thing, which
it's weird. Yeah. It's not, and it's like they share an account now. Like she doesn't have any of her own stuff on there. At least not that I've seen lately. It's not like I go to her page and like take a look at it all the time. It's just what comes across. And I haven't seen anything that's just her in forever.
I'm looking now. I'm currently scrolling. And yeah, it's a lot of him or just housewives.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I love her. I really do love her.
I do. I heard her new face is interesting, that a whole facelift. First of all, I'm very happy that she was so upfront about it. There was no, that was great because when who aren't, who come back and I'm like, look, Dorinda, we all know, just say it. It's okay. It's okay. So I loved how upfront she was about it. But him crying hysterically over her, going, was, it's weird. It's weird.
Well, I just watched I'm fully on her Instagram right now. I just watched a great promotion they did for some home delivery thing, delivering beers to the house, and they did it with Talene. I'm like, oh, so Caroline and Talene are really close now.
They are. I would think that next season they would be kind of a power duo, if you will.
I love a power duo. I love when that happens. Yeah. Okay. I don't think I really have any other Dubai takes from this episode. Any things about you're thinking about the season that you want to talk about?
No, I just love Chanel Ayan. I just love her. I love her. She is beautiful. When she walked in the airport with that skirt, it was just to die for. She's just a gorgeous woman inside and out. It's interesting, her coming from Melissa Gorga, separately on Instagram. It's weird. It's an odd thing, but I love her. She's just amazing. So more of her.
Agreed. I posted this week and I said it last week on the podcast. I think she has the most compelling story of all housewives of all time.
I agree.
So I love her. I want a documentary. Okay, let's talk about Jersey or the lack thereof. The lack of Jersey is so sad, man.
So it's not even fun to talk about Jersey anymore. It's not even fun. Housewives should be fun. It's not. And this last week was the most boring episode. I did not enjoy the pajama party. I thought the cake was ridiculous. So stupid. I really don't want to talk about milking prostate. I don't know. It's not fun.
You know what I did love? I did love when Jackie was talking about how hard she realized it was to become a New York Times bestseller.
That was interesting. I actually like Jackie.
Still?
Yeah, a little bit.
Tell me more about that.
So I think the eating disorder and everything that she was so real about, I really did like that. And I really do like the fact she wrote a book about it. I actually like her husband. So Like,
Yeah.
I do enjoy their relationship. I think that, yes, she's reactionary and yes, she said some things that she shouldn't have, but I feel like she was the sacrificial lamb for Margaret to say, oh, it's not me, and deflect more on Jackie. And I'm not saying Jackie didn't do wrong, but that it was almost like Marge is like, all right, I'm not going to be popular unless I like punt. So I'm going to punt this human.
Yeah. Wow. Interesting. I I go back and forth on what I think about Margaret. I think there's something about her that I don't see that other people see, but I do think Jackie is so desperate to be on. And it makes me so feel so icky. And she's using Teresa, and Teresa's using her, as admitted. And I think the way she's turned on Melissa, because to turn on Margaret wouldn't necessarily upset me, like whatever. To turn on Melissa pisses me off, quite honestly.
So I'm not a big fan of Melissa. So
Tell me
I'm
why.
like you just said, you think people, there's something about Margaret that you're missing. I think there's something about Melissa that I'm missing. Like people like
Okay.
talk about how genuine she is. I don't think she's genuine. When I watch her scenes, I don't think they're real. Watching her and Joe together, I don't enjoy. Like I don't like her. I don't dislike her family because that's awful. She has a nice family, but
Yeah.
I don't really care to watch her mom on TV. I don't care to watch her sisters. I don't find them interesting. And I do think a little bit of her, like I would have gone on Jersey whether Teresa was my sister-in-law or not. No, that's not true. Come on, at least admit that stuff at least. Or their whole stance of we've never done anything wrong. Okay, would we like to like back up that tape because you have, at least own that part of it and move on. Like we're always in the right, we're always the good ones just feels very disingenuous.
And what do you think about her dynamic with the other housewives? Like her in terms of how she deals with everyone but Teresa.
So I'm going to say this just flat out. I think the whole show needs a full reboot. I think everybody needs to go. I don't think you can save a single one of them except for maybe Dolores.
Thank God you said that.
Except Dolores. I love Fessler. But like, I love Fessler. So if you kept the two of them and everyone else should go. There's just nothing redeeming, I think, about any of them at this point. So when you talk about her with the other housewives, I don't like the other housewives she gets along with. So like, I don't really care. I don't really care to see Rachel ever again. I don't care to see John Fuda ever again. I don't really care if Marge comes back. In fact, I've never liked Marge. And again, which is interesting because the whole reason I like Atlanta, right, is because these powerful women who have their own job and have their own careers. And Margaret definitely does. And she's amazing businesswoman without a doubt. And I'm normally drawn to those kind of women. Why I like Lisa Vanderpump to begin with. I'm normally very drawn to, and there's something about her that I'm like, I really, since the beginning, there's something that puts me off about her. And I don't know what it is, and I don't know why. And I keep trying every season. I'm like, okay, I'll like her this season. Okay, I'll like her this season. And it just, never happened. Never happened. So, Melissa may get along with all these other wives, but like, I don't want to see Danielle again. I definitely, that of all of them, that's the one I really never want to see again. I think she's awful.
Yeah. Yeah. What are you thinking about her conflict with Jennifer Aiden?
So Jen Aiden had no right to put her hands on anyone, period. And she started that, period. There's no excuse ever to put your hands on another human being. Agreed. Danielle's response, though, was not okay either. Jen started it, so Jen's 100% the wrong one. But the whole thing about their hair girls, first of all, the fact they kept calling them girls bugged the crap out of me. They're not girls, they're women, and they're women who have their own jobs and have their own careers and are trying to better themselves. So you mitigate them and you make them sound less than or dismissive when you call them your hair girls. You don't talk about other women that way. So that pissed me off. But it's stupid. It is a stupid manufactured conflict to make enemies of each other.
I like her confessionals. I think her confessionals are funny. I don't like watching her in general. I don't like if I have to see one more kid thing, I'll lose my mind. I'll lose my mind. And I also don't like the way she's been so wanting this fame. And it's fame, but it's not fame. You also can't say that you're experiencing fame. We can tell you when you're having fame. You can't be like, I'm so famous now. It's so fucking weird.
That's when she said, that's what I was like, I'm going to turn this something off. When she was on Watch What Happens Live, she goes, well, when you're famous, I'm like, who the fuck is famous? Who the fuck is famous?
You walk down the street perfectly fine. And no paparazzi are coming after you. No. You're okay, sweetie. Dumois isn't posting anything about you. You're good. But I also think just a little bit of, she's
She's as desperate as Jackie is. Just as bad. But I also think her story isn't compelling. And why don't, and I don't like talking about people's families because that's their family dynamic, but she keeps bringing it up.
Yeah.
Why doesn't your brother and your father talk to you? I mean, over Instagram? I don't think so. Like, that's so weird. That's so weird. But they talk to your husband? I mean,
Yeah, it's so weird.
it's weird. Is there something really off there?
I also don't like her attitude of when she was on Watch It Happens Live of just having no remorse.
Yeah.
And that is why you're never going to be on reality TV again, because Andy was like, that's not what I want to hear. That's not it.
Yeah.
Like, you don't feel bad about how it happened. And she didn't feel bad about telling Jennifer Aiden she looks like shit. Like, those type of things, I'm like, that's not going to get you on another season. It's just not.
And it was so rude. Let's talk about that right there. Jennifer Aiden was trying to be in the room with her, was trying to be cordial. And she walks out and says, by the way, you look like shit. Like, what?
Not nice.
That's not nice. Just, it's not nice. And yes, her confessionals are funny, but they're not intentionally funny. Like, she doesn't know she's funny.
And in terms of Rachel Fuda, I wouldn't mind not seeing her again, but I love her daughter.
Her kids are compelling.
With her kid, that little girl is so polite and so well spoken. I'm like, I just want to watch her for days.
Yes.
Like, every time she's on my screen, I'm like, I want more of the daughter. And I'm not like that with kids. I'm like obsessed with this little girl.
She is cute. She's cute, and she is well spoken, and she's very polite. Rachel Fuda is obviously a fantastic mother, and John Fuda is obviously a fantastic father. They're obviously great parents, and no shade at any of that. Their older son, everything they've done, even when he's on, he's very well spoken, polite, so good. So, like, obviously fantastic parents and are raising fantastic children. That being said, I'm over them coming after Teresa for things that they've done. I mean, the whole thing that John Fuda that came out this week about how it was a violent crime. It wasn't, he just sold some dope, Teresa didn't have a violent crime. She didn't duct tape people down. It was stupid. And I'm not a huge Teresa fan either. That's the thing, is that Jersey, and I probably should have said this now that I think about it, one of my top 5 is going to be Carolyn Manzo. I love Carolyn. I love her. So when she first left, I stopped watching for a while. And I wound up watching, I didn't watch that whole season with the twins, and I never watched that season.
Well, you got lucky.
I never watched that season. And it took me a couple of seasons to come back and watch it again. So I'm sure I'm missing some context to some of the stuff between Melissa and Teresa as well because of that. But like I said, it needs a full reboot. They need to find people who are really about their family again, because that's what made Jersey so compelling the first time, right? It was all about the families and how the families were together. And that's what made New Jersey, New Jersey. And now none of the families are together. Nobody seems to like each other. And I feel like, and again, maybe because I don't like her, but I feel like the Marge brought something that wasn't about families and wasn't about, all working together and all living together to the show that wasn't necessary. Like, that's probably, I'm going to get probably a little side for this, but I like Jen. I like Jen Aiden. Like, I do. I
think she's the downfall of Jersey.
See, I think it's Marge.
Interesting.
But again, I'm not looking at all the bloggers and all that stuff outside of the show. I'm just talking about the show itself. Like, I like Jen's family. I think Jen's family is more fun. Yeah, they're so fun to watch.
I love their family. My issue with Jen Aiden, and I have a few, but if we're gonna get down to probably the main one, is that I feel like it is so evident and it's so easy to find out how she's staging drama and staging scenes. They obviously all do it to a certain extent. That's obviously the premise of the show that's produced, right? But the way Jen does it and tries to be sneaky about it, but isn't smart enough not to get caught, pisses me off.
That's a very good point. That is a very good point. That is, I just like watching your family. Like, of all the families on the Jersey right now, hers is the most fun one to watch.
I mean, her daughters are fucking.
Oh my God. And I do love how her daughters call her shit out. I do love that. It reminds me of the way Teresa's daughters, when they were younger, when Teresa do something, they'd be like, "Your hair looks awful." You know, it's awesome. It was just awesome. And so
I do love Jen's family. I do think Jen is a great mother, a great sister, a great daughter.
all the things.
All the things. She's great, but I think she's part of the reason her and Teresa joining together and they have these vendetta against people. And I have a question about rebooting. What would you think about an OG reboot?
Oh, like bringing Jacqueline back, bringing bands out.
Dina, what do you think, it would be good or not good?
First of all, you're not going to get Dina and Caroline together. That's just never going to happen.
Okay, but
That's just in a world of pretend. I would love to see an OG reboot. I love because it was really good. I mean, if you think about that first season, it was so good. I remember watching it and thinking, this is the best thing I've ever seen. Also, if you haven't seen, because that's when that was the year Jacqueline got pregnant, right? If you haven't seen how old her that son now is in the pictures of it, I have never felt so old in my life. Nicholas, right? His son's Nicholas. Saw the pictures of him with Ashton. I was like, no, that's a grown human. No. He's like 5. He's not a grown human. So yeah, there was that. But I would like to see Jacqueline back on the show. So even when the second time she came back, I liked her. I mean, she wasn't in a great spot with all the ladies, but I still liked watching her. I like Chris. I like watching them. I'd love to see Carolyn Manzo back, but I think after her suing Bravo, that will never happen. No.
Literally, unfortunately for us, because I'd love to see the Manzos on my screen again. Yeah, I would love an OG reboot. And even if it's not all the OG people, I would like a few of them. And I don't want a new generation of Jersey housewives in the sense of age. Like, I think Rachel's too young. I think Danielle's too young. I don't think it's what Jersey looked for. I think that works in other cities and other franchises. I don't think it works in Jersey. I think what we want from Jersey is very specific. And I think it involves the Laritas. It involves the Manzos. And I would think it would be great if we could get Dolores to bring in some friends.
I think that is right. You were looking for a matriarch. First of all, we're looking for a matriarch. We're looking for with adult children, and we are looking for women who I think are on their my age or older, and they're on that second part of their lives where they're starting things over again. And that's what was so compelling the first time, is they were matriarchs who were all like moving forward.
I think Jersey brings really good family dynamics into it. And that's why it's so compelling.
I think that's why maybe I don't like Marge on that show, is because she doesn't have compelling family dynamics. I mean, she and her husband are obviously very much in love and very much love each other. And that's fantastic. Love that. And love that as a couple for them. But they don't have that same kind of family that Jersey, like maybe have Marge go hang out with the New York City housewives. I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's, you make a very solid point there.
What if we did an OG show, half, like if we're just going to dream of everything, half like classic OG New York and half classic OG New Jersey? Did a show like that.
The way my heart is skipping a beat.
Would that be fun? So much fun to watch.
I cannot even explain that. That's a great ultimate girls trip.
It would be good. I just don't want Ramona on it.
No,
Ramona. No, ever again.
Well, anything else to say about Jersey before we conclude the app?
No, I think that we've covered it all.
Okay, well, thank you so much for joining me. It was so nice having you on.
Thank you for having me. It's been a lot of fun. I don't get to talk enough about housewives in my real life,
I know. Well, feel free to come back whenever you're like, I need to share my opinion.
I will totally do that.
Well, thank you all for joining me on this week's episode of That's My Opinion Pod. I will be going out of town next week. Thank God. I'll see the sun. It will be lovely. I'll be drinking a sangria. And then I'll be back the following week. So I'll see you guys then.